What's up, everybody? It's your boy GQ, and I'm here with my co-host Boulevard, and we are live from the bench. So I want y'all to get some good Eagles content. So while you're waiting, I want you to grab yourself a hoagie, crack open a cold one, and let's fly, baby. We about to get into round one. Round one of this awesome content. Let's get it.
Round one, fight.
Ooh, it's got a graphic and everything now. Yeah, we moving up in the world. Big time shit. We got graphics.
So the Eagles Pro Bowlers list came out. Saquon, of course, Zach Bond, Jalen Carter, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Cam Baby Oil Jurgens.
I don't get the
However,
oh, Baby Oil was a pity thing.
Well, I thought that was Johnson and Johnson. Wait, Jurgens, it's something. Who knows?
Jurgens is lotion. Oh,
lotion.
yeah, sure. Now I get the reference. Okay. Right over my head.
Oh, however, AJ Brown and Jordan Mailata were not on that list.
See,
and not only that, I felt like CJ Gardner-Johnson should have been on that list. Quinion Mitchell should have been on that list.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm a little disappointed.
It's easy to be. There were a lot of Eagles that could be on that list. I mean, you just named a few of them. You said Mailata especially. Was this, I think, PFL had him as like their number one tackle, number one lineman. Yeah, I mean, he was dominant at a position where it's really hard to be dominant.
Yeah. Especially as Jalen Hurts' blind side protector. Like,
you know him, he ready to go at the drop of a hat. He rolling out the pocket, so.
Yeah. And then and like, I know it's got to come to a point where you're like, all right, get over it. We know he was one of those guys that never played football until he got here. But I mean, do we have to get over that? Is that one of those things we have to like stop talking about? Because I mean, I feel like we gotta understand, respect how far this man's come from a guy who's never played the game before he got there and then become one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, I wonder who's got his movie rights, because it's inevitable that somebody makes a movie about that man's life. He's probably going to sing on the soundtrack, do a Christmas song or some bullshit. But, I mean, I'm not going to watch it because it's probably going to come on Lifetime. So, maybe out there with the ukulele, like, something, 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 New Zealand music. I don't know what the hell they sing over there.
You know what's crazy about Jordan Mailata? Because I just found out for somebody, because Jordan, they call him the gentle giant. He's like one of the most peaceful, nicest person. He cusses a lot.
Okay.
And it's just like
English, Maori.
Yeah, he cusses a lot for a Polynesian.
Me too.
But we saw Saquon's on the list. Of course he is. He's like the top leading rusher in the league. Was on pace to break records, and we're going to discuss that later in the show. Zach Bond came out of nowhere, basically did something nobody knew he was capable of doing it. And something now, every time we talk about Zach Bond, I like to talk about how they had the open practice that the fans went to. When they announced Zach Bond, he didn't get cheers. He got crickets. And now we're cheering for this guy because he's that nigga. He's that dude, you know? So shout out to him. Shout out to Jalen Carter, one of those people that was getting disrespected, calling somebody. He was being called, what was it? A troublemaker. They were basically throwing this man into the dirt every chance they get because he was
some people really get a kick out of doing that. I guess their existence just to tear people down.
Right. uh, I don't want to throw no names out, but Malika, whatever her name was,
Mm-hmm.
I know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
we can all name a couple of them. We can all name a couple.
so shout out to Jalen Carter for his ability to step up and change the narrative, even though it probably won't change the narrative.
It changed it among the people that actually matter. We're
Right.
proud of him. We don't have to look at him and question his effort, question if he's a bust, if he's got what it takes. Really, at this point, almost like the Georgia kids, we can be comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with what they're going to be. We see that they're aware that they had room to grow when they put the work in to grow. Thank
Yep.
you, Fangio, for your role in all of that. We do, as fans, we do appreciate what you've done. Those players
Mm-hmm.
were prepared every game this season, and even this one with whatever the hell's going to be out there. I'm sure at the
Yeah,
worst they're going to be prepared. So
absolutely. Another guy, I mean, Lane Johnson, like it's almost one of those things. It's like when they're talking about Eagles linemen getting into the Pro Bowl, he's of course one of those guys that's gonna be on it regardless. So
yeah.
Landon Dickerson, he came out there. It's like you can't have one, you can't not bring in like you gotta if you're gonna credit one side of the Eagles offensive line, you gotta credit somebody on the other side. So
Mm-hmm.
you gave it to Lane. If you're not putting in Maylada, you got to put in Landon because
Mm-hmm.
the guy's just a 1-2 punch of craziness. Shout out to Cam Jurgens, of course, because you stepped up
Mm-hmm.
into a position nobody was confident in his ability to step up and do. To basically, they said, Jurgens, you got to hold Kelsey's jock strap, and Jurgens said, "No, hold my beer. I'm gonna show you how
Man,
to do it," and he did it.
did do
So
it.
it is. Yeah, it's a little disappointing that AJ Brown wasn't in, but he didn't light up the scoreboard like everybody expected him to. But it's okay because he performed well enough. I mean, this wasn't the year of the Eagles receivers. This was the year of the Eagles playing smash mouth, shut your mouth football. And that's what they
Woo.
did. Um,
That's
I mean,
gone.
it sucks that he's not on it, but it's okay. That wasn't the year. It's okay. All the Eagles got to do is win a big one.
Yeah. At
Any
this point,
thoughts on
from
that?
here on, outside of this week where they got nothing to gain, every game ahead of them will be the big one
Every game
because
will be the big one.
every game will matter more than every game they played before. You lose, you're out from this point on. There's no plays off. There's no slack guy. It's full effort, 110% every play.
Right.
Can't leave it out there week after week. We know it's going to hurt. We know. We also know you're getting paid a lot of money to do this. We know. But I mean, y'all can't. You have this team has built this city's hopes up. I mean, let's be real about it. This city, this team, these fans, they support the shit out of the Eagles. It's the best fan base in the nation by far.
By far.
And every week, I mean, you see how well we handled that loss? That was awfully mature of Eagles fans. Nobody lost their
Mhm.
minds. Nobody went crazy. There was no fire to coach. The quarterback's a moron. None of that shit. We accepted it because we understood. We showed a lot of maturity. We're going to show a lot of maturity this week by not losing our shit. What I do wonder is, are we with the loss and resting the starters? Is this going to kill the momentum that we gained from the streak? Are we
Well,
basically going to have
let's
to
see.
build back up come playoff time?
Well, now that you bring that up,
Round 2. Fight.
Shit, I didn't mean to jump that far ahead.
the Eagles, mainly Nick Sirianni, are choosing to rest the starters in the Week 18 matchup, forcing the Birds to miss out on
Yeah.
history, on an opportunity to make history. I feel like they did make some history with the fact that they got a 2,000-yard rusher on the books, but missing the history of being able to break that record. Now, before we get into the momentum stall, because we're going to get into that. I want to talk about this right here with Saquon. Does this somewhat, if you're Saquon, are you feeling like this put a bad taste in your mouth? Like just knowing that you've bust your ass, like, and knowing this is the opportunity to break a record against a team that basically showed you they didn't want you. Did this put a bad taste in your mouth?
I can't see how it didn't. I mean, he did not sound too happy about it. But he's a good soldier. He's a coachable player. He handled it well, I gotta say. Me, I would have been a little more just angry about it, a little more frustrated about it, because I would have wanted it. I mean, you've come too far. You've worked too hard. We know his injury history. We were all looking at him like it was a ticking time bomb, but he has persevered this far. This line has fought for him. Okay, he's earned these yards. He's earned every yard. He had the highest yard per carry of his career, and he led the league in yards per carry. I mean, he made the most of every opportunity. He ran his heart out like he was let loose finally. Getting out of New York, he was let loose. He had a good line. He had a good team. He never experienced that before. And he took the reins and he ran with it, made it his team. He did. And for that, we're all thankful. But that's the point. He cleared 2016, and he was 101 away from the record. That's the problem. He was that close. To not at least try is disappointing. To not give him a chance as a coach to say that I got this player's back. I want to see them try. It's like, no, give him a chance. I brought it up on the bench, and it was like, at least you gotta let him have a half. Somebody said, give him a half. Let him try.
Yeah.
I could see the negative, but I don't want to see the negative.
Yeah.
Because as a fan, as an Eagles fan, as a Saquon Barkley fan, as a Penn State fan, you wanted to see him earn it. You wanted this moment for the city, for the team, for Saquon, for Saquon's family. Like, you wanted this because you know as a fan what he's gone through. You know his injury history. You know how bad the Giants have been, how he's been the only thing that worked on that offense for many years. And he sacrificed his body for it. He deserved this chance. The team deserved this chance. Lane Johnson deserved that chance. Mailata deserved that chance. Because they got to this point together. And they deserved a chance to try to get across the line. Plus, Eric Dickerson didn't want him to get it, and that was reason enough just to just say, fuck it, go get it.
Yeah. And I want to add to that. Like, we talk about this offensive line, and first off, you got a 2,000-yard rusher. I'm gonna go say those four of the 5 starters on that O line should have been in the Pro Bowl. Just say that with the simple fact that you got a 2,000-yard rusher. But those, you would have stepped on the field.
Also, shout out to Mekhi. Shout out to Mekhi Becton for getting his first playoff game of his career.
Shout out to Mekhi Becton. And he's played very well in the time that he's been there. So shout out there. But those 10 people, if you would have been like, yeah, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna fight for Saquon's rushing record.
Absolutely.
10 people on that O line would have came out there and blocked. I mean, 10 people on that offense would have blocked for Saquon. Like, you could have put they would have been like, listen, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis would have like, put me at tight end and run out of a two tight end set. They would have went out there and blocked, because of the simple fact is those guys probably would have been committed to that because it meant that much to Philadelphia. And I feel like you're robbing the city from that history. Like you're taking that away from them. And because I know me, if this is like the team that drafted me, did me dirty, you know what I mean, I would have been upset. And here's the thing why I feel like Saquon deserved the opportunity to try is because there were quarters, like games where the Eagles had a full 15-minute quarter left in the game and Saquon, like, we got this, let the young guys get it. That's enough for me to say, I'm committed to you right now because you were committed to the future. Like he was committed to Kenny Gainwell and Will Shipley getting reps. He was committed to them in the first game against the Giants. And you mean to tell me you can't commit to him for a half? Like he is such a big part of this team just in this year alone. For him to come out there and completely change everything about that offense. Like he basically, I mean, I knew that they were like Jalen Hurts was a focus, like Jalen Hurts running the ball, but like when the Eagles basically changing into a running team over the past 2 years. But he reshaped this offense in a way because it's something we've never seen that before. Like I don't even know if the Eagles have had a 15-yard rusher, a 15-yard rusher in the past. I don't know. Because I don't know if we've had somebody go over 1,500 yards in the past decade. So to have somebody come and get 2,000, that's crazy. I'm not giving up a full game. Like I know there's not a lot to play for in this game, but there's a lot to play for in this game. Like, and then this is a time for you. You have a player that can come out here and send a message to the people that were like, we don't need you. You're not valuable. And I feel like one of the things is, it comes to conspiracy theorists on me. But you know what they say? They say that they didn't value running backs. They didn't feel like running backs deserved the money. So something popped up. Somebody said it. I can't remember who said it, but they said if Saquon breaks the record, you got to start looking at running backs in a different light. You got to start valuing running backs again. You got to. And now he's not playing. I don't know if there's much to the theory of it, but I think this is one of those things. Like you got to value the running back, and they don't really want to because they're already overvaluing quarterbacks. Why would they want to put more value to a running back? Because what was I seeing Josh Allen about to get $65 million a year, which was like over like a 9-year span, making $860 million, which in my opinion, that's just too much. Like I talked to you earlier, that's like more than 20% of the team's annual salary, 65 million is.
It's
That's
more than
too much. Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot. So it's almost to the point where you're like handicapping your team because down the road somebody's going to want more money and you're not going to be able to give it to them because you got to pay 53 people, possibly even more than that, because you got practice squad players as well. But I'm getting out of hand with that one. Yeah, if this was me and I got a record I'm potentially breaking, I'm looking at you.
It's about
25.
Yeah.
That's too much. I'm hurt. I'd be hurt right now. I'd be hurt if I'm not getting my shot. If I'm Saquon, I'm hurt. My feelings are hurt. I'm looking at you sideways. And this leads
for incentives he hit. So
yeah. But let's go on. We're gonna continue this because this topic needs to continue right in the round 3.
Round 3. Fight.
I was gonna say, did we skip anything from round 1?
No.
Oh, okay, because I didn't mean to jump the gun.
Oh no, you're good. We're gonna carry on right through it. And with them resting, Boulevard, this is a question I'm gonna ask you and let you get into it.
Right.
So I got 3 questions for this round. Does this benching, you said it, resting players, does it stall the momentum?
I don't see how we can't, especially in this case. I mean, they're coming off a loss and now they're going to sit. I mean, how can at least more morale drops after a loss for one. Then you're just going to sit there, and there's a strong
They won
possibility.
this game. They beat Cowboys.
You're
They
right.
lost the Commanders.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it does. It can, it can essentially stall momentum because,
you're just sitting there. You're rusting, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the point of them being set there. It'll be 17 games if they make it to the Super Bowl, 17 weeks in a row that they played. I get that. But that's thinking too far ahead. Like, that's counting your chickens before they hatch. We should have been worried about this week and not thinking about next week, because that's how you fuck up. You're looking ahead, literally. You're looking at the game ahead. You shouldn't be doing that. It's all easy to say, one game at a time. One game at a time. And what is we all doing? Like, this game doesn't matter. So we're going to sit everybody. So now everybody's going to be coming out of that mindset. This game didn't matter. So we can all, just loosen. Now they got to go back and do this again next week with everything on the line. So yeah, it could be momentum can easily be dropped, like lower. Like everything can be affected because everybody basically got a week off. I see where it would be effective long term, but that's thinking too far ahead. Like you're looking for the forest through the trees, or like you're not seeing what's in front of you because you're too busy. Whatever. It's looking too far ahead. You're counting your chickens.
Yeah, I agree, and I think especially with Jalen being out, you don't know Kenny Pickett's status.
Right.
Like he got hurt and Tanner McKee had to come in. They need this game, like, because the receivers aren't going to get any reps. They're going to be rusty. They haven't had their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, throw to them. The line hasn't worked with Jalen Hurts. This is going to fuck up their rhythm because they need to be on the field, because you're going to have to get back into the rhythm. You're knocking them completely out of rhythm now.
These are the things I'm sure about to say.
Yeah, they're going to be knocked out of rhythm. So now you're going to have to come back and have to regain that rhythm. And where you're going to be is you're going to be too worried about trying to get your rhythm back when you could be either playing the Commanders, who we just lost to 2 weeks ago, or the Packers, who gave us a nice little fight in Brazil. We're basically not sure what we're going to get. So basically, we cannot come in there trying to play slow football, trying to gain your rhythm. What you needed was a game where Saquon Barkley broke the record. Everybody's hard charging because they're hype. You don't need to be cool. You need to be hype. You need that momentum. You need that energy. You're going to come in here in the wild card with no energy because y'all been sitting on your asses for a week. Maybe not sitting on your asses, but you're sitting on your asses for a week. Like you gotta come out here and be playing football, even if it's just a half, even if it's just a quarter. You need to at least put that out there, because just completely resting starters, I don't believe it. I don't believe in resting starters. There's nothing about that seems like it's a good idea when you don't have, like, it just, nothing about it sounds good at all. Because you can't go in there and because it's not like Washington's going to rest their starters. I don't think they're going to.
Right.
So that you come in there with guys, they're going to come out there and they're going to try to beat the shit out of you guys. Now you're going to be embarrassed because the Commanders come out there and they light up your fucking backups. And then here's your, like, That shit's not gonna like. Oh, just because the starters aren't feeling beat up and aren't feeling depressed because they lost, the rest of your team is gonna feel that way because they fucking lost. Even though they're gonna say the game didn't matter, it mattered to them. It
Mm-hmm.
mattered to the rest of your team. It mattered to the other 25 players on your roster. Just because the starting 22 aren't affected by it, the other 25 they're gonna feel it. So I think it's one of those things. It's like it matters, it's significant.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. I mean, I'm sorry, I've lost my whole train of thought. I was listening to you, getting caught up and looking ahead. Okay, so yes, what I was thinking was with the momentum stalling and them going into the playoffs. Well, they be in the. I mean, they don't even know who their opponent is. So why are they looking that far ahead? Why are they jeopardizing the rhythm, the flow of the offense? I mean, I know there's a few injuries, and I know regardless of what was going to happen, Hurts was going to be sitting. But all the same, we're dealing with concussion symptoms. So we don't even know if he'll be back by then. By wild card
Exactly.
weeks. Why didn't we just play them, enjoy the moment? Let these players have it. Let Barkley play. That's all I'm saying. That's all I've been trying to say. Let Barkley play. I know
Yep.
they'll have played so many weeks in a row. I know that, but that's then. We can't play. We can't think about then.
Yep.
What are we planning for then? We may not see then. We may not see week 2 of the playoffs. Okay? Because we have to focus on what we can control. And what we can control is what we do on the field. Okay, what we do in practice, how we train. We have to be ready for these games. We can't. There's no taking plays off now.
Absolutely.
I don't
So
know.
that with that being said, let's go into the main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
So, ladies and gentlemen, per ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, this is him. If the Eagles fail to win in the first round, Nick Sirianni will join other coaches and on the hot seat. Coaches like Doug Peterson, coaches like Mike McCarthy. He'll join those coaches on the hot seat. I want to say this. It's well deserved. The lack of intelligent decision making by this guy, fighting with other players, like like him having a spat with Zach Ertz, conduct unbecoming of a head coach, unacceptable. Um, Fighting with fans, like unacceptable. Fighting with your own players, like him and Jalen Carter having a spat. Jalen Carter is a 24-year-old man. Nick Sirianni, you're like 40, you're in your 40s. Like, conduct yourself better. These are the guys you're supposed to lead. You haven't. It's too much. It's too much going on where he's not making good decisions. And this right here is another one of them because it could negatively affect your team. Now, if we come out here, you miss out, you completely you miss out on making history, and you lose to the Packers or Commanders, whoever we face. Do you look at it and you say, "Hey, you chose not to play me, and because we came out here slow, we couldn't get into a rhythm. Now I get what 10 carries because we're playing catch up now. I missed out on what?
Mustard.
I missed
Go
out
on.
on what? Saquon. Because of Saquon, because the Eagles have to force the ball down the field because they're playing catch up because they're still trying to get into a rhythm. You're playing catch up. You're not running the ball as much. Saquon gets 10 to 12 carries. That's not the way Eagles have found their success. Yeah, they prove that they can do it, but you still have to get those reps with Saquon. And now you're out of rhythm. Absolutely, I think seeing that. Listen, right now, Nick Sirianni is in the hot seat. I don't care what anybody says. Being in the number 2 seed, having like the third best record in the NFC, that's not enough. Like, and we got to understand, like, coaching is a lot more than winning. It's the decision making. Like, you're representing the entire team. And basically, what I'm looking is like Kellen Moore is like fucking carrying this team. Vic Fangio's carrying this team. Somebody's got to be the fall guy. If the Eagles don't win in the playoffs, they lose the game in the playoffs. They don't win a Super Bowl. Somebody's got to be the fall guy. And who you think they're going to look at? Because they're not going to look at Fangio the way that defense is performed. They're not going to look at Kellen Moore the way they just came out there and impressed with Saquon. They're not going to blame Kellen. They're going to blame the guy who's the head of that triangle. It's Nick. He's on the hot seat. So Jeremy Fowler's not incorrect here. Nick Sirianni's looking a bit like a nutcase. And someone else said, like he said, Sirianni said, benching the guys was God's plan. And then another person said, God has the long hair. Jesus has the long hair. Maybe he should cut it like Nick Sirianni. For him to have that change of mindset, which I think it's crazy talking about the Lord. I mean, he's not everybody's Lord. He's some people's Lord, but those people who understand, it's some crazy because you're gonna get. But it's one of those things. It's like, don't say this is God's plan because this has nothing to do with God. Nick Sirianni, you made a dumbass call. You can't. God's not gonna get fired. Okay, God's not gonna get fired if y'all can't do anything. If Saquon doesn't get 20 to 25 carries, you fucked up, Nick. That's all I'm gonna say. If he doesn't get 20 to 25 carries and we're winning decisively, you fucked up, Nick. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, hell, I mean, if it's the playoffs and we're winning decisively, you might as well let Saquon sit on the bench if the game's out of reach, since that's what we're doing now. But no. I lost my thought again. What the hell were we just discussing?
How Nick Sirianni is going to be in a hot seat if they can't win.
Right. Okay. No, that's ridiculous. Because that man, four playoff berths in 4 years, that's a hell of an accomplishment. I know that's what we do in Philly. We make the playoffs every year. Second for number 1 seed since 2000, if I'm not mistaken. But that's what we do. Now, that said, I don't think Sirianni has as much power as we want to believe that he has. I don't believe that his decisions necessarily are as bad most of the time, because we only dwell on the bad decision. We only dwell on the meathead behaviors. I mean, the boy's an idiot. He's an idiot. He's a meathead.
It's a me.
Kind of gives you vibes. I mean, he does not really to a T, but gives you that MJF vibe to where you love to hate him. You want to punch him in the face, but he's your scumbag. You know, like he's Philly's scumbag. He's our scumbag. Like,
yeah, it's an interesting take on it.
Man to a man, everybody want to punch him in the face. Just look at that face. Who would not want to punch that face? It's a very fucking punchable face. Let's all be real about it. Like, some people just have it. Some people just have that face. It ain't my fault. I didn't mold it. That's a genetic thing. That's the parents. Blame the parents. But Mr. and Mrs. Sirianni's, your son has a very punchable face, and it's your fault. Okay, but he's our scumbag. Like, good or bad, he gets results. Maybe he's not as responsible for those results, but he just needs to be a figurehead, guy who does most of the interviews, talks in meeting, gives good feedback for the press box. As far as on the field, I'd say leave at least let Kellen Moore continue to do his thing. Because maybe it's not the way that we as Philly fans kind of thought it would turn out to be. It's about halfway to 60% what we turn out to be, and it's actually working. So, let him do what he's doing because it's working. Siriani, you just keep morale up. Okay? You be a rah-rah cheerleader. You and Big Nom sit there and talk about pasta recipes or whatever. Y'all do that. Okay? You can even call DeVito's agent. Y'all can discuss all of that shit. Find a good restaurant, pasta bajul or whatever. Y'all do that. Well, man, no, he shouldn't be fired because then we'd have to find someone to replace him. Then we'd have to play this whole situation over again. Now you got to find a new guy to be the figurehead, the person who takes all the punches. So, no, just leave him be. He's not hurting anything. He's not costing us critical losses yet. Like his decisions aren't failing us yet. Earlier in the season, that was kind of a work in progress. Everybody was figuring each other out, but by week 6, week 5, it was all starting to come into place. So what they're doing is working. So I wouldn't fuck up the recipe yet.
Okay. Before we go there, because what I just looked at, Nick Sirianni, since he's been a head coach, has a 701 win percentage.
Ooh, that's good though. 70%, that's good. Most coaches would love to win 7 out of 10 consistently. Shit.
Yes. I'm trying to look at his record in Philadelphia. Nick's Andy Reid had a 583 coaching record in Philly. Granted, he played longer. However, he only surpassed 13 wins once. Nick Sirianni's done it twice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you do have a point. I mean, I don't think he should be fired. I mean, he shouldn't be fired. I don't see any reason why they would fire him.
What's his win percentage?
Nick Sirianni?
Mm-hmm.
What was it, 781, I believe?
Okay. Well, put it this way. George Allen, Redskins head coach, 712. Vince Lombardi, 738. John Madden, 759. Guy Chamberlain is number 1 on this list. According to Yardbarker, I didn't go too deep in my research, at 784 win percentage. Guy Chamberlain, or Yee Chamberlain. No idea. 1922 to 27. Okay, so that's what those numbers are up there with. So, I mean, 70% is 70%. Most coaches, only the greats do that.
Right. And another thing.
Not even greats do that. What's that?
I'll say this. If Nick Sirianni can get the Eagles to the Super Bowl again, he'll be the first Eagles quarterback in my time, as far as I know, to have multiple Super Bowl appearances. In my time, the first head coach since I've watched the Eagles, be the first quarterback to do it, to go to the Super Bowl twice.
Well, Eagles have only been to the Super Bowl twice. Three times. And they went to the NFL championship. Well, they won it 4 times, I believe. Yeah. And before that, they were the Yellow Jackets, and but they won a few championships before it was the Super Bowl. People just don't like to count those days anymore because it's all about the Super Bowl. But they got rings and all of that good shit when they won.
I got one. It's like, no. Well,
I'll get my hands on one of those.
I think that's all we have now. I predict the Eagles to lose to the Giants. No, I'm kidding. Like, what?
What?
They'll still beat the Giants.
I'll still predict the Giants. No. I don't know. It depends on who the hell the Giants put out there. I don't know. But
if it makes
I'm not watching it. Why?
if I'm the Giants, I'm not putting anybody in there because you don't want to mess up. You come out there and win. That means you're fighting to keep Joe Sheen, and you're fighting to get that number 1 overall pick. Just lose. Just take the L. Let the and this is my thing. I'm like, if it makes sense, I would be like, if I was Dable, I'd be like, Nick, do me a favor, put Saquon in and like down the ball and down the kickoff at the 1 yard line. I don't even think you can do that anymore with the new kickoff. I don't even know if you can do that, but like just let them run 99 yards. Like, oh yes. So remember when Morris said that on Hard Knocks? She said, "I won't be able to sleep if Saquon goes to Philadelphia."
Mm-hmm.
Well, Saquon posted a little response video. I can't find the video. You guys, if y'all find it, please send me the link in the comments because I want to see the video. I want to share it with Boulevard. So basically, Saquon's like, he's got a lullaby, plays a lullaby, and then he's like fast asleep on a pillow.
Man.
And he was dedicating that to Mr. Mora. So I would love to show that with Boulevard. I know I'm embellishing it because I don't have the full. I can't remember. It was just funny. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys.
Oh, wait, I
Boulevard,
will
I don't know
say
if you have
one more
anything else.
thing before you do your thing. Derrick Henry finished the season with 1,921 yards.
Nice.
Yeah, just wanted to leave it out there because nobody's going to talk about that. Like, no one's going to talk about that. So I just wanted to give him some props before everybody forgets.
Running backs are important, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Running backs are important.
Like, that's
and to
what
that I say.
I wanted to ask
go
you.
ahead.
If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, does this mean that, you know how it's a copycat league? That's what they say. Does this mean that teams are going to start valuing running backs better? Are they
Absolutely.
Does this mean it'll become the norm again for running backs to be drafted high?
Yes. And this is my thing. This is right here. This is going to seal it right here. Eagles versus Ravens in the Super Bowl. Eagles versus Ravens in the Super Bowl. If that is the game that you see, I am guaranteeing you that they're going to put more emphasis on the running back position because the running back position is the reason that both of these teams succeeded the way they did. Because Lamar barely had a receiving core, but his receivers managed to show up when you have to focus on the running backs a little more. So I think that is major, and I think it changes a whole lot if you get Eagles win the Super Bowl or Ravens. But I'm not really putting that much. I'm not putting too much stock in a Ravens winning the Super Bowl. But I'll put plenty of stock in Philadelphia.
Just somebody better beat the fucking Chiefs. Somebody's got to go to Kansas City and win. You know who almost couldn't get out of Kansas City? The Chiefs. Yeah, I don't know if people are going to remember this by the time this drops, but the Chiefs were stuck at the airport for a couple hours because the airport closed. Apparently, there's a de-icing truck, and they only had one, and then it was broke or something. They couldn't use it, though. So it took a while for Kansas City to get ready to go. Denver, they were just stuck there on the ice, on the tarmac. Sucks to be them.
Whoever is in charge of flight operations at the airport needs to send the Kansas City Chiefs a nice, like, bread basket or muffins basket because that is, like, crazy inconvenient. That's crazy inconvenient. Listen, I talked to a player that I won't say his name, but he talked about Uncrustables. How many Uncrustables? They'll have like 5,000 a box like this tall with nothing but Uncrustables, and they will eat like they'll go on a plane, take 3 Uncrustables, eat it on the plane, get off the plane, 3 Uncrustables, get to the stadium, eat like 3 Uncrustables. Man, I'm trying to get on that. I'm trying to see what that be like.
Damn it, I'm having to be a PB&J when we get out of here. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Well, to that I say on to all of you at home, thanks for watching. And here's my message. Here at LFTB, I want you all to know we can't all be starters, Tanner McKee or Kenny Pickett. But Boulevard can tell you better than anybody else what you all can do.
Hit the bench.